Hey everybody, Johnny from Worship Sound Guy here. Today I've got a really special treat for you. It's a wireless microphone capsule shootout that was filmed by the one and only Michael Lewis. If you're not familiar with Michael, he is the front of house engineer for a band called Colony House, who are absolutely incredible band. You should definitely check them out. They put on an incredible live show. So I saw Colony House play at a venue here in Atlanta called the Eastern a few months ago, and I was blown away by the mix, and so I found Michael on Instagram, and then a little bit later I saw on his story that he was putting together a wireless mic shootout. I was like, man, this is something that our audience here at Worship Sound Guy would be so interested in. So we got a chance to collaborate a little bit. We had a Zoom call, talked about kind of what we heard in Michael's shootout, picked some favorite mics, some not as favorite mics, talked about different applications for each of those mics. I think it's going to be super helpful, super informative for you when you're picking maybe a new wireless mic to go with for your church. So right after I get done talking here, you're going to see Michael's shootout, which he collaborated on with his brother Matthew. They did an incredible job putting this together. He runs through a few different tests with each mic. You'll hear him talk into it. He'll talk into it with actually some drums playing through a PA speaker, which is really, really useful to kind of hear how each microphone rejects different onstage noise and just how it works under actual real-world conditions. And then after Michael's shootout, you'll get to watch a little Zoom call that we had where we just discussed our thoughts on each of the mics, kind of what we heard, some things we liked, some things we didn't like, and some conclusions that we drew from the shootout. Michael and his brother Matthew did an incredible job on this shootout, so make sure you go give them some love over on social media. Follow him, he does some incredible stuff. And if you want more of this kind of content, make sure you like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We post stuff like this all the time. So without further ado, here is Michael Lewis's microphone shootout.
Hey guys, it's Michael here. A few days ago I posted on Instagram and said that I had a bunch of microphones and asked if anybody wanted me to do a quick shootout. So I'm here at Emerald City Productions warehouse with my brother Matthew, and we're just filming a quick little rundown of all the mics. I'm just gonna go one by one and talk into them and just show you what they sound like. Of the selections and what we have today, I have a Shure SM58, a Beta 58, a Beta 87A, an 87C, a KSM9, KSM8, and a SE V7, along with the newest one that I just got here, a DPA de facto with the SL1 wireless adapter. And this is the 4018V, which does not have, no, it has a little bit of a vocal, like, top end boost. So yeah, at this point, I'm just going to switch over to the audio that I'm recording here on this Beta 58. So here's Beta 58. Okay, so I'm right directly on the mic here. I'm talking into the mic. This is what a Beta 58 sounds like. Right on. I'm directly on, as you can see. A little bit off axis for you. Here's a little bit from my, a little bit of space from my mouth here. That's like 2 inches maybe. Check, check. This is a SM58 Beta version. Cool. Going to switch over now to the regular 58. Okay, and now I've got the regular 58 here. This is what it sounds like close up. Mama made me mash my M&Ms. Can't even say it several years later after saying it in choir. What am I talking about? Who knows? All right, here's 2 inches away, and off to the side a little bit. This is a regular 58, classic, tried and true. And we've now switched to the Beta 87A. Pretty top-heavy mic just from what I remember. This is the Beta 87A straight on. We're just going to go to the side here, the Beta 87A. Just going to pull it a little bit from my mouth here, talk into it like a normal person. Beta 87A, right back onto it, singing. I'm singing, and I'm not going to actually sing. Cool, let's move on. And this is the 87C, which I did not know existed until a few days ago. This is the 87C. I'm talking into the Beta 87C. Is there a Beta? I don't know. It is Beta. I guess this is the cardioid version of the 87. So talking into the 87C on axis, here's off axis a little bit, and then here it is a little bit far from my mouth. I'm talking into the 87C. All right, moving on. All right, here we are with the KSM8, a very controversial mic in my opinion. Everyone has, it seems to either hate this mic or love it. So here's the KSM8 directly on, straight on my mouth right here. on a wireless mic. Check, check, check. And I'm going to now move it 2 inches away. Hey, I'm 2 inches away from the KSM8. Now I'm going to go a little bit off axis here, off to the side. Yeah, directly into the side. KSM8. This is a KSM8 I am talking into right now. Okay, now we're on the KSM9. The KSM9 is definitely one of Shure's higher end vocal mics here. I'm going to look and see what pickup pattern it's on. It is in cardioid mode. So this is the cardioid mode of an KSM9 directly on, right on my mouth. Here's 2 inches away here. I'm talking into the KSM9. Check, check, 1, 2, 3. Hello, hello, welcome to my TED Talk, where we talk about TEDs. We all love TED. I'm off to the side now, speaking into the side of the KSM9. I'm going to just bring it down a little bit off my face here like a regular speaker would. Check, 1, 2, 3, the KSM9. And here we are with the SE V7, a popular mic right now. It seems like a lot of people are using the V7. A lot of people said that this would win the shootout. I don't know. I can't even hear what this mic sounds like right now, so you decide and let me know in the comments. This is an SE V7 directly on my mouth. I'm now going to move it like 2 inches from my mouth. This is 2 inches from my mouth here, talking into the V7. I'm going to move it off axis here, talking into the V7 like I don't know how to hold a microphone. Hey, yep, just moving it around. Cool, this is the V7 from SE. You've heard it all. One more here to check. Cool, and my new favorite, just kidding, I don't know really what it sounds like, but here's the DPA De Facto 1, the 4018V. We're talking to the De Facto 1. I'm directly on access right now. Very interesting microphone design, by the way. If you don't have one, go check out some videos on it. I'm going to pull it away from my face a little bit and talk into it a little bit further away now. And now I'm going to talk into it off axis. Access, check, 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 1, 2. Hey, I'm singing into the mic. This is the De Facto. A lot of people said that this is going to be the best mic. Who knows? My opinion, it's all about the vocalist. It's not about the mic. Check, check, 1, 2. Okay, that's the DPA. Okay, now that we have recorded all of the mics just normally, again, I didn't want to go too far into this. I know I could have probably done a better job with each being a little more consistent, but hey, it's live sound, so it's, just kind of how it is in real life. What I wanted to do next is show you what the mics sound like with some stuff happening in the background, because a lot of people are picking certain microphones because of how it responds to like background music in conjunction to the source that it's mic'd up on. So we're going to go back again, start from the 58. I'm going to put a drum loop on in the background, turn it up kind of nice and loud, and then just talk through all the mics. So hopefully you can actually hear what I'm saying. So here we go. I'm going to turn up the drum loop. Pretty loud. All right, here we are. This is a regular 58. I'm talking directly on access to a regular 58. There is a drum loop playing to my left right now. I'm going to pull it away a little bit here. I'm just going to walk around like I'm a rock star of some sort. Yeah, rocking around here with drums in the background because the drums are always playing. Just talking a little off axis. This is a regular 58, SM58. Let's try a Beta 58. All right, here we are with the Beta 58. I'm talking on axis directly into the Beta 58 with the drum loop going behind me here. Just in case you're wondering, I measured earlier. The drum loop is playing at approximately 98 to 100 decibels right now. So that's with peak weighting. But just to give you an idea of how loud it is, just talking into the mic right now, just walking around. Yeah, there's drums in the background, just like a live show here. Yep, drums into a Beta 58 with a little bit of space. Now I'm directly into the Beta 58 from Shure. Cool. Yeah, that's what it sounds like. Let's change to the 87 now. All right, here we are with the 87C. I think I started with the A last time. This is the C. You can tell that it doesn't have the ring here, and that's how you can tell that it is a C. Also, it says an 87C right here. I believe the difference between the C and A is that the C is a cardioid, which I learned from the top of filling this video. So this is an 87C. I'm just going to walk around kind of here, just walking around. There's drums playing in the background. Yeah, drums. Okay. I'm talking to the side here, off the axis. Going to pull it away a little bit now. Hopefully there's something to be learned here. Hopefully this is not for nothing. All right, going to the 87A now. All right, 87A, the 87A, which is probably brighter than the C. I'm just going to guess. Don't know. We'll see what happens later. Talking into the 87C, I'm really close to drums right now. The drummer's just hammering into my ears. Oh, yeah. Check, check. 1, 2. 87C. Pulling away a little bit. Pulling away from the mic. Yeah. This is the 87C. Drums, drums, drums. I wish I had a song to sing. I really don't. I am not a singer. Off access into the 87C. Cool. All right, here's the KSM8. Once again, the controversial mic. I call it the controversial mic because it seems like everybody either hates or loves this mic. I don't have an opinion. No, I do. I don't like this mic. I'll be honest with you. Talking into the KSM8 now. I'm going to pull it away a little bit here. I'm going to pull it away. Notice I'm holding the mic at the bottom of the stick. I'm not holding it up here so we don't influence the sound like that. I'm going to talk into it directly. Going to walk around. Going to go a little off axis here. A little off axis into the KSM8. Do we like this mic? I don't know. You let me know. Make sure you're listening with headphones too, because this is pointless if you're listening on like an iPhone speaker. Almost there. Promise you. We're at the KSM9 now. The hype mic KSM9. Maybe the pro version of the 87. I don't know. You decide. This is a KSM9 directly onto my mouth with a drum kit playing in the background directly into a KSM9. All right, I'm pulling it away a little bit now. I'm pulling the mic away. Just kind of walking around here with drums behind me. Drums right in front of me now. With it pulled away from my mic a little bit, my mouth. Gonna put it a little closer. Check, check. Yeah. Drums to my left. Okay. Gonna talk into the side like no one does. Who sings like this? No one. Literally no one. All right, a lot of people pick the V7 because they say that it works really well with drums playing in the background or loud stage volumes. So here I am with a loud stage volume. What does it sound like? I don't know. Like I said, I can't hear anything right now but this drum kit. It's so loud. Oh my gosh. Just walking around talking into a V7. What does it sound like? Hopefully you're wearing some like high dollar in-ears right now and you can actually hear the difference between these mics. Probably pretty nuanced. I would imagine that you can't hear it on like AirPods or whatever. I'm gonna pull it away a little bit from my mouth now. Pulling it away from my mouth. Check, check. Talking into the mic. Close to drums. Talking into mics. Yep. Okay, one more here. All right, finally we got the the de facto. We have the de facto here. I'm talking directly into the de facto near some very loud drums playing in the background. I'm going to just kind of walk around here, just walking around with drums playing. I feel like it's getting louder, but it's not. I had not changed the volume. It's the same that it's been, but it's so loud. Oh, my gosh. Okay, directly into the de facto. I'm going to pull it away now. I'm pulling the mic away from my mouth. Check, check, check. 1, 2, 3. I'm going to talk into the side now. Talking into the side of the mic. Does it sound good? I don't know. Who knows? Okay, I'm going to turn it down now. This is ridiculous. All right, well, that is all of the microphones. Make sure to let me know what you think of the different capsules that we picked here.
So yeah, let's now that we're on this video chat together, let's kind of talk down a little bit of maybe some stuff that we heard, some things we liked, things we didn't like, just observations we made about when we might want to use one microphone or another. I'll kind of let you like kick us off here because I think the whole thing that started was you got that DPA microphone, which sounded awesome. Did it kind of like hold up the way you thought it would, or were you kind of surprised at it or anything listening back?
So it's super funny. I was not actually super blown away with it, but I think in general, as you notice, like all the microphones sound pretty close. Like there's nothing that's shockingly bright and shockingly dark.
Yeah.
With my voice at least.
Mm-hmm.
So that being said, I got to use the DPA on a stage like the next week in a situation where there was like an actual band and stuff like behind a vocalist.
Yeah.
And yeah, it definitely turned into my favorite mic after the video. But like just listening on headphones to what I did, I could not have like pointed out that I liked one more or the other a whole bunch, outside of some subtle differences.
Yeah, I kind of felt the same thing, honestly. So like after I listened to it, I was like, okay, I'm gonna go on. There's this really awesome website called Recording Hacks, and it's basically where like they just have a huge catalog of all these different mics, and you can like overlay like frequency graphs and like kind of check out like what the differences are like supposed to be. And like even like looking at all those mics, I was like, wow, they're not like as different as you would think. And yet in like an actual live setting, there are like noticeable differences, even if it's like the graph, like, is within a few dB of each other. So yeah, I think that's like super interesting that like how close they can seem to be, but then like in an actual live situation, like they really do sound super different.
Yeah, I think for me, the biggest difference is that, I mean, unlike a lot of people, most of the demo, I was talking directly into the mic, like right on it. And so the proximity effect is like very pronounced on some of those. And a lot of people, it's very inconsistent, especially whenever you're like dancing around on the stage and stuff like that. And it just kind of, that's when the small differences kind of really shine. So
yeah, for sure. And especially for like a lot of our people, like in a church setting, like, they're probably using, 4, 5, 6 of that same capsule. And so it's like some of those will like frequency bumps or proximity effect, like if those will start to add up a lot when there are so many people singing at the same time.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, for sure. Dude, so okay, let's talk about the Beta 87C. That was one that like I wasn't really super familiar with either. It kind of surprised me, honestly. It sounded like pretty open and natural, and so I was like, what's the difference here? Like, so I saw it was like it's a cardioid version essentially, where the 87A is super cardioid. So I'm like, I'd be interested to like actually hear that in a stage situation, but man, like it sounded really good. It's like to my ears, just kind of right off the mic.
Yeah, I have been kind of like an anti-87 fan, at least with my own voice. There's a few situations where it like works really well, but most of the time I've found that it's too bright, especially with people that kind of pull away from the mic.
For sure.
However, I didn't know about the existence of the 86 until recently, and 86 seems to kind of be like the halfway point between a 58 and an 87.
Yeah,
so the C
for sure.
to me kind of sounded a little closer to an 86, where it's not overly shrill and kind of might work if you're trying to get it a little more subtly above the mix.
Yeah, I agree 100%. Yeah, that's always like the 87 thing. I'm like, okay, I have to like, I'm gonna have to dip out some high end in there and just try to make that work. But yeah, I was pleasantly surprised by that. And so the other one obviously is that the SE V7, because I think, like a lot of people are assuming that one's gonna sound awesome. What do you think about that one?
Man, okay, so I've used the V7 a lot before that, and I think that it's a little overrated. I do think that the price jump of a 58 to the V7 is worth it. I think it's cool. I think it adds some character, and I definitely noticed that it seems tighter as far as like what it's picking up in the background doesn't sound terrible as opposed to a 58 or a 57. Or an 87A. So I don't know. What did you think?
Yeah, so that's actually the V7s are what we use at my home church, like for our main auditorium, like on a Sunday to Sunday basis. So I've been like really familiar with those. We also have a lot, or like 4 KSM9s. So that was like an interesting comparison for me personally, just because I've had a lot of experience with both of those mics. And the thing for me was I was like, man, I want something that's like maybe a little more durable and like less, it's like you kind of, I feel like with the KSM9, like you drop it once or twice and like it's, you suddenly made like a $600 mistake. Whereas with the V7, it's like, okay, like I can drop that, I can break, whatever. And it still like sounds like pretty dang good. Yeah. So yeah, I think the biggest thing for me on the V7 that I like is that it doesn't have a ton of like kind of that woofy low mid range that I just end up EQing out of like every mic. And that's another thing that I like about the KSM9 as well. So kind of when I heard the V7, I was like, oh cool, it's not going to do that like that woofy low mid thing. So that's definitely something I really like about it. I agree that it's maybe a little overhyped. It's not like, you listen to V7, you're like, oh man, this is like, just as good as the DPA or even the KSM9. Right. But it's definitely, I think, like, yeah, if you're in like, 58 land and you have the opportunity to get a V7, you're like, definitely go for it.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely think, and I think it's because just you're so close to the capsule in a 58. Mm-hmm. Like the V7, it just automatically does some of that EQ work on the low mids anyways, and works really nice. Probably sounds better too whenever you like boost the top end than a 58. But
yeah, I think it does have a little bit of a smoother top end too. So, and it doesn't have like that huge of like a drop off like the 58 does, especially.
Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I think speaking of the KSM9 too, that was actually like my favorite to hear on my own voice, which is really funny because I don't usually like the KSM9. I think it's a little too much on some people, but I liked it
for sure. Yeah, I liked it on your voice too a lot for sure, and that was honestly my experience using KSM9s like at my home church. Of like, I can just be, especially with like a drum kit behind it, maybe like even like a guitar amp or whatever, like stage adjacent, and you're just like, oh yeah, I can hear every bit of that, and it's all like so hyped in the top end.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and the KSM8 too, which it's so funny to me that the 9 comes right after the 8 because they're like totally different.
They're so different. Yeah, it could not be more different.
I noticed with the 8 at least that it was very obvious that like the proximity effect was like super mitigated, and that's the whole design of that. Yeah. Like I noticed that as I pulled away, it stayed very consistent, and as I went a little off axis, it stayed very consistent. Yeah. So it seems like a great like MC mic, or for people that don't know to keep it up to their face.
Yeah, that's kind of what I felt like too. I've used that mic a little bit, and I've never quite clicked with it honestly, and like I honestly expected to probably because it's numerically next to the KSM9. I was like, cool, this will probably be like just like a little step below the 9 or something, but it's so different. No. Yeah, to me the 8 has always had this kind of like upper mid thing going on, and it's like it's not in the place where I want the upper mids to speak for most vocalists. Like there are definitely some that it works on, but I think for most of them it's like, oh, it's got like just sort of it's not airy, but it's also not quite in that like sort of presence range. It's kind of like in between.
Yeah. I feel like my EQ just looks so visually unappealing whenever you look at like any KSM8 input. Yeah. It's like, what is that? Yeah. It's like, is that a kick drum? Like, what's going on there?
Yeah, it's like having to do like so much work to make it fit. Yeah,
that's definitely a tough one.
Yes, yeah, for sure. Dude, okay, let's talk about one thing that I know obviously everybody who deals with like a live band on a live stage deals with, and that's like rejecting everything else from the stage, and like having good off-axis rejection. So when you did the thing with the drum kit coming to the speaker, I was like, oh, this is like such a great way to demonstrate this. So thank you for like thinking to do that, because I feel like most of the time it's like, okay, here's me talking in a super quiet, good sounding room, and like of course it sounds good, but then you put a speaker with a drum kit going through it, and it's a whole different ball game. Which like what are kind of some of the differences you noticed, or like was there anything you were like, oh yeah, the drum sound, like kind of that the background noise is being mitigated there, or like whoa, let's have to do some work on it to make to get some of that background out of it. Like, is there anything you noticed with that?
So I sent this video to one of my friends, Mason, who's actually not an engineer at all, and he and I shared the same thoughts where he noticed that without me telling him that the DPA, and then there was one other mic, I can't remember which one he said. I feel like it was it was the 87 or something weird like that. Yeah. But he said that in his ears, like everything sounded nice outside of my voice.
Yeah. Okay.
So. And I definitely agree. I was very obvious. Like the DPA was definitely quieter. And I didn't do a great job of like gaining everything to be exact same volume, but the DPA to me sounded like I mean, even on an iPhone speaker, you could hear like the drums were not as pronounced, and what you did hear is a much more subtle, like smaller version of them. So I definitely think, you know, that price jump of like $100 to $200 a mic to $1,000 a mic is worth it if you're on like a crazy loud stage. So I loved the DPA for that. The 58 was very, very like shrill off at, you know, hearing the drums coming through that, which is no surprise to me, honestly. That's just kind of how it usually is.
Yeah, for sure.
But what about you?
Yeah, no, I noticed the same thing. I literally, like, as I was kind of like taking notes on it, like in the DPA came out, I was like all caps, I was like, did a really good job at rejecting the drums. So yeah, I definitely noticed that too. And yeah, I think it might have been, gosh, was it I think it might have been the 87A, which I guess would make sense with it being super cardioid. That also like did a pretty good job, even though I felt like there was, if I'm remembering that correctly, like there was still more of that like kind of like, you know, 7 to 10K kind of bump in there, but it still like did a good job at kind of just rejecting the sound overall.
Yeah, I agree. And that was surprising to me because I would think that it would be being like I guess it's a condenser. I would imagine that it would be worse, but I preferred the off axis and the background noise as opposed to 58. So
for sure. Yeah, and then there's like the KSM9 where you're like, oh, cool, it's like another drum mic. Like, like I've got a room mic now, I guess. Yeah. For sure.
The V7, and what's funny is like the V7 is sold to a lot of people on that idea that it really does a good job of like filtering background noise, and it did. But it wasn't as good as the DPA or even maybe the 87. Yeah,
for sure. I would agree. Like, I don't think it was as good or like not noticeably better than any of the others, even though, it's definitely marketed that way. I do think, the V7, I feel like to me has a good amount of like gain before feedback typically. And so I do appreciate that. Like, so we'll do like, kind of like a worship in the round situation. Sometimes we're like, you know, we've got like 4 singers like out in the room, like essentially in front of the PA system. And that's when I'm like, okay, like we're going V7s, like, and it generally works. So I do appreciate that about them for sure.
Right on.
Yeah, definitely. And then, man, one last thing I want to talk about, you just kind of said offhandedly, that like really it's all about the vocalist.
Oh my gosh.
He said, I was like, yes, it is. Cause to me, like that just like it is about the mic, but at the same time, I think a lot of people, you know, they're like, wow, you know, if only I could, you know, drop $1,000 on that DPA, like my vocals would sound amazing. And it's like, you know what? They're still going to sound like whoever's singing through them. Like, you know, it's going to impact it a little bit. And like, you know, different mic might match up with a different singer's voice, you know, better or worse. But like at the end of the day, like, man, it's so much about the person who's singing into it. You want to talk about that a little bit? Yeah.
I mean, it's like, I mean, at the end of the day, it all comes down to technique. Like people that, you know, my favorite example is to take like even an SM7, you know, and I'm talking right up on it. And I move just a few, like an inch away or 2 inches away, and it just immediately sounds different. And that just applies to every single microphone. I mean, everyone is doing, you know, a really good job of staying right on it. And some people pull away, and that's great. And they're consistent about it. And finding that mic that just speaks on their voice in the context of a mix is really important. And, you know, getting to that point takes some time, but I always see people in those church forums like, hey, what mic should I get? We've had 58s for forever.
Which mic is the best mic? Yeah.
And I literally, the other day somebody asked that, and I literally listed out like every single vocal mic that I could think of that wasn't a 58 that was like used on stages. Like, go listen to some demos and make some notes of like what you like or don't like about the mic, and then choose one for your singer. You know?
Yeah, exactly. And that's where I think like, it comes down to like, go to like a good rental house or whatever, like micrentals.com, and just like, just order a bunch of capsules, keep them for a weekend, you know, use them on your PA, your system through like your stuff, your normal signal chain, and like see which one you like best and what's actually going to work for you, like with your particular singers. I think that's like, that's just such a key.
Definitely.
sure.
I mean, it's like any other mic and any other source. You know, you spend time tuning the kick drum and tuning the snare and tuning the instruments and moving the mics several inches to the left or right. Well, your vocals are the most important thing in the mix, like hands down. So why would you not spend the time trying to find that right pairing? You know.
Yeah, exactly. I agree 100%. Dude, that's awesome, man. Well, I think that's going to give some people really good context for like what they just heard and some additional thoughts on it. So, man, thank you so much for taking the time to do this. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, for sure. And I just want to add in one little note. I did add a tiny bit of compression and a tiny bit of EQ on just everything. I didn't do anything differently than one another. Just everything has like a cut at like 100 hertz and then probably a 2-to-1 just general compression on it, just to kind of keep it up without me having to gain it up and down the whole time. So
yeah, totally. And I mean that's so much less than like what anybody would be doing typically. So I mean, I think that's perfect. Yeah. No one needs anything below 100 hertz. That's not real.
That's right. Yeah, it doesn't exist.
Yep, that's right. Awesome. Thank you so much, man.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, I hope you got a ton out of that video. I know that I learned a lot just watching it and then talking with Michael afterwards. Again, thank you so much to Michael and his brother Matthew for putting that shootout together. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, leave a like, subscribe, comment below, and we'll see you next time.